celebrate Purim. We celebrate our people's survival. We celebrate Am Yisrael Chai, the fact that all these years later we are still here, living, thriving, surviving, and more with God's help. We will thrive. We will live and celebrate many more Purims still to come. Well, under which your people Israel has ever lived, and for the manifold blessings you have showered upon us and all humanity. This day brings to mind the darkness and gloom we have experienced in many generations. Pain, torments, and agony have been our portion too many times. But sustained by the undying hope that in the end right will triumph over wrong, good over evil, and love over hate, we have held aloft the banner of your truth together. Grant us, Adonai, the vision to see, and the courage to do your will.
You our hearts with the faith of Mordecai and the devotion of Esther, that we may never swerve from the path of duty and loyalty to our heritage. Endow us with patience and strength, with purity of heart and unity of purpose, that we may continue to proclaim your love of truth to the peoples of the earth, until we have learned that they are one, the children of the eternal God.
It is sad when you feel most like crying, then rejoice. When Purim comes, we rejoice. We drink our wine and sing our songs. We make our happy noise because we are alive. Because in the long tale of our people, not one Haman has risen to destroy us, but one after another. And yet, because we live, our cup of joy overflows. Am Yisrael Chai, our people Israel lives. Let us rise now and give praise.
Shema
They say to me, God will not help you. They have laid traps for me, spreading a net along the road. Together.
They have set traps for me, they surround me. But you, O God, are my shield. With your help I stand straight. I hold my head high, as it is said, have no fear.
No fear, says God. Do not be afraid, O Israel, for I will save you, you and your children, and none shall make you afraid. We have escaped like birds from a trap. The trap broke, and we escaped. For the God of heaven and earth has been our help.
Remember the days of Haman, when Esther and Mordecai helped our people live. Remember the days of Pharaoh, when Miriam and Moses led our people out of Egypt to freedom. We join with them as we sing the song. Rejoice.
Top to page 4.
Our people was saved in days of old. In the days of Mordecai and Esther, the wicked Haman arose in Persia, plotting the destruction of all the Jews. He planned to destroy them the single day, the 13th of Adar, and to permit the plunder of their possessions together.
But through your great mercy, and thwarted his scheme frustrated. We therefore thank you and praise you, O great and glorious God.
So take a moment for our own silent prayers.
In my hand, I have the entire Megillah, exactly, which comes in different forms. One of my favorite ones, because the pictures are much better than in the original. You'll see the Megillah, which was originally written on scrolls by hand in Hebrew. This one happens to be in Hebrew and English. And do we like the pictures? Like the pictures? This is exactly what they look like, is what we decided. So now is the time to read from the Megillah. So if you'll please turn. Yeah. If you'll please turn to page 6. These blessings should sound very familiar. In fact, they remind us of the same 3 blessings that we recite that first night of Hanukkah. And so we're going to read our blessings in Hebrew and in English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra megillah. We praise you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot and commands us to read this scroll. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu v'imotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. We praise you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who performed wondrous deeds for our ancestors in days of old at this season. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'achiyanu v'kiyamanu v'hianu lazman hazeh. We praise you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this season. All right. Now let's just review. There are a lot of characters here in the Megillah. So, and we need to know how we feel about these. So if I were to say the name of Mordecai, how do you feel about Mordecai? Yeah. All right. If I were to say Esther, how do you feel about Esther? Absolutely, go Esther. If I were to say King Ahasuerus, we'd say. But what if I were to say the name of that evil prime minister? This time I came out after the Acadians. You know who I'm talking about. What do I ever say? Amen. All right, so you have your brothers, your Rashanim, which is Hebrew for noisemaker. And if I say whose name? Amen. Excellent. But only if I say Haman. All right, are we ready?
Ready.
Vayehi b'yamei Achashverosh. It happened in the days of Achashverosh, that Achashverosh, who reigned over 127 provinces, from India to Nubia. In those days when King Achashverosh occupied the royal throne in the fortress Shushan. In the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all the officials and courtiers, the administration of Persia and Media, the nobles and governors of the provinces in his service. For no fewer than 180 days, he displayed the vast riches of his kingdom and the splendid glory of his majesty. Kind of like Mardi Gras season here. At the end of this period, the king gave a banquet for 7 days in the court of the king's palace garden for all the people who lived in Fortress Shushan, high and low alike. Royal wine was served in abundance as befits a king. And the rule for the drinking was no restrictions as long as they're not driving. For the king had given orders to every palace steward to comply with each man's wishes. In addition, Queen Vashti gave a banquet for women in the royal palace of King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the king was merry with wine, isn't that a nice term? He ordered the 7 eunuchs in attendance on King Ahasuerus to bring Queen Vashti before the king wearing a royal crown to display her beauty to the peoples and the officials, for she was such a beautiful woman. But Queen Vashti wanted none of that. She refused to come at the king's command conveyed by the eunuchs. The king was greatly incensed. His fury burned within him. So the king consulted the sages learned in procedure what he shall be done according to law.
to Queen Vashti for failing to obey the command of King Ahasuerus as conveyed by the eunuchs. Thereupon Memucan, no reaction, Memucan, we don't know much about it, declared in the presence of the king and the ministers, Your Highness, Queen Vashti has committed an offense not only against your majesty, but also against all of the officials, against all of the peoples and all of the provinces, all 127 of King Ahasuerus. For the queen's behavior will make all wives despise their husbands, and then will really be in trouble, as they reflect that King Ahasuerus himself ordered Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she would not come. This very day, the ladies of Persia and Media, who have heard of the queen's behavior, will cite it to all your majesty's officials. They'll demand equal pay for equal jobs, and there will be no end of scorn and provocation. If it please your majesty, let a royal edict be issued by you, and let it be written to the laws of Persia and Media, that Vashti shall never enter the presence of King Ahasuerus. And let your majesty bestow her royal state upon another who is more worthy than she. Then will the judgment executed by your majesty respond throughout your realm, vast though it is, and all wives will treat their husbands with respect, high and low alike. What do you think? Yeah, exactly. The proposal was approved by the king and the ministers, and the king did just as Memucan proposed. Dispatches were sent to all the provinces of the king, to every province in its own script, to every nation in its own language, that every man should wield authority in his home and speak the language of his own people. This is what happens when men get to write the stories. This is part of the problem. Chapter 2.
Sometime afterward, when the anger of King Ahasuerus subsided, he thought of Vashti and what she had done, and what had been decreed against her. The king's servants who attended him said, Let beautiful young maidens be sought out for your majesty. Let your majesty appoint officers in every province of your realm to assemble all the beautiful young ladies of the fortress Shushan. Let them be provided with their cosmetics, and let the maiden who pleases your majesty be queen instead of Vashti. The proposal pleased the king, and he acted upon it. In the fortress Shushan lived a Jew by the name of Mordecai, son of Jair. Who? Mordecai, no. Son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjamite. He was a foster father to Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter. The maiden was shapely and beautiful, and when her father and mother died, Mordecai adopted her as his own daughter. When the king's order and edict was proclaimed, and when many girls were assembled in the fortress of Shushan, Esther too was taken into the king's palace. Everyone loved Esther, and they hastened to furnish her with her cosmetics and her rations, as well as with the 7 maids who were with her due from the king's palace. Esther did not reveal her people or her kindred, for Mordecai had told her not to reveal it. And every single day Mordecai would walk above him in front of the court of the harem to learn how Esther was faring and what was happening to her. And when the turn came for Esther, daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had adopted her as his own daughter, to go to the king, she did not ask for anything. But when Hegai, the king's eunuch, guardian of the women, advised, yet Esther won the admiration of all who saw her. Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus in his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Terah, in the 7th month of his reign. The king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she won his grace and favor more than all the maidens. So he set a royal crown on her and made her queen instead of Vashti. The king gave a great banquet for all his officials and courtiers in the banquet of Esther, and he proclaimed a remission of taxes for the provinces and distribute gifts as befits a king. But Esther still did not reveal her kindred or her people, as Mordecai had instructed her. For Esther obeyed Mordecai's bidding, and as she had done when she was under his tutelage. And at that time, when Mordecai was sitting in the palace gate, Bigtan and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs who guarded in the threshold, became angry and plotted to do away with King Ahasuerus. Mordecai learned of it and told it to Queen Esther, and Esther reported to the king in Mordecai's name. The matter was investigated and found to be so, and so the two were impaled on stakes. That's pretty harsh. This was inscribed in the book of records at the instance of the king.
Gives you a real pain in the back.
Oh, I see.
Have we covered all the characters? I know we mentioned Esther. We mentioned Mordecai. We mentioned the king. Are we missing anyone? Yep.
Chapter 3, only 25 more to go. All right. Sometime afterward, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite. Boo, Hammedatha the Agagite. He advanced and conceded him higher than any of his fellow officials. All the king's courtiers in the palace gate knelt and bowed low before Haman. But Mordecai would not kneel or bow low. Then the king's courtiers who were in the palace gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you disobey the king's order?" When they spoke to him day after day, he would not listen to them. They told Haman in order to see whether Mordecai's resolve would prevail, for he had explained it to them that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai would not kneel or bow low to him, Haman was but he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, having been told who Mordecai's people were. Haman wanted to do away with all the Jews, Mordecai's people, throughout the kingdom of Ahasuerus. And so in the first month, that is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, lots were cast before Haman. Every month until it fell on the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. And then what the name said to the king, Haman. There is certain people scattered and dispersed among the other peoples in all the provinces of your realm, whose laws are different from those of any other people, and who do not obey the king's laws. And it is not in your majesty's interest to tolerate them. If it please your majesty, let an edict be drawn for their destruction, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the stewards for deposit in the royal treasury. Thereupon the king removed his signet ring from his hand, and he gave it to And the king said, "The money and the people are yours. Do with them as you see fit." And so on the 13th day of the first month, the king's scribes were summoned, and a decree was issued, just as Haman directed. The orders were issued in the name of King Ahasuerus and sealed with the king's ring. Written instructions were dispatched by couriers to all the king's provinces to destroy, massacre, and exterminate all the Jews, young and old, children and women, on a single day on the 13th day of the 12th month. That is the month of Adar, and to plunder their possessions. The couriers went out post haste. The decree was proclaimed, and the king and Haman went out but the city of Shushan was done. Chapter 4, when Mordecai learned all that had happened, Mordecai tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes. He went through the city, crying out loudly and bitterly, until he came in front of the palace gate, for one could not enter the palace gate wearing sackcloth, of course. Also in every province that the king's command and decree reached, there was great mourning among the Jews, with fasting, weeping, and wailing, and everyone lay in sackcloth and ashes. When Esther's maidens and eunuchs came and informed her, the queen was greatly agitated. She sent clothing for Mordecai to wear, so that he might take off his sackcloth and have something nice and not embarrassing to wear. But he refused. Thereupon Esther summoned Hathach, one of the eunuchs, whom the king had appointed to serve her, and sent him to Mordecai to learn the why and wherefore of it all. Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square from the palace gate and said, "What are you doing?" And Mordecai told him. See, he was a eunuch. It's a rough crowd. Mordecai told him all that had happened to him and all about the money that Haman had already paid into the royal treasury for the destruction of the Jews. He also gave him the written text of the law that had been proclaimed in Shushan for their destruction. He said, "Show it to Esther and inform her and charge her to go to the king and to appeal to him and to plead with him for our people." When Hathach came back and delivered Mordecai's message to Esther, Esther told Hathach to take back to Mordecai the following reply. "All the king's courtiers and all the people of the king's provinces know that if any person, man or woman, enters the king's presence in the inner court without having been summoned, there is but one law for him, that he shall be put to death. Only if the king extends the golden scepter to him may he live. Now I have not been summoned to visit the king for the last 30 days. When Mordecai was told what Esther had said, Mordecai had this message delivered to his cousin. "Do not imagine, Esther, that you of all the Jews will escape with your life just by being in the king's palace. On the contrary, if you keep silent in this crisis, though I raised you better than that, relief and deliverance will come to the Jews from another quarter, while you and your father's house will perish. And who knows, Esther, perhaps you have attained to royal position for just such a crisis so that you can be in the right place at the right time to save our people." Then Esther sent back this answer to Mordecai. She said, "You're right. Go assemble all the Jews who live in Shushan and fast on my behalf. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my maidens will observe the same fast. Then I shall go to the king, though it is contrary to the law. And if I am to die, I shall die." She had a bit of dramatic sense. So Mordecai went about the city and did just as Esther had commanded him. On the third day, Esther put on a royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's palace, facing the king's palace, while the king was sitting on his royal throne reading the newspaper and facing the entrance of the palace. As soon as the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court, she won his favor. The king extended to Esther the golden scepter which he had in his hand, and Esther approached. "What troubles you, my queen?" the king asked her. "What is your request? Even to half the kingdom, it shall be yours." "If it please your majesty," Esther replied, "let your majesty and Haman come today to the feast that I have prepared." The king commanded, "Go tell Haman to hurry up, because we're eating with the queen tonight." So the king and Haman came to this special dinner party. At the wine feast, the king asked Esther, "My darling sweetheart, what is your wish? It shall be granted you. What is your request? Your request, even to half the kingdom, it shall be yours." "My wish," replied Esther, "my request. If you've had a good time, if your majesty will just do me this little favor, if it please your majesty to grant my wish, let's do it again tomorrow. You and Haman, let's do dinner again tomorrow." And that day, Haman, now happy and light-hearted, he was in a great mood. Until he saw Mordecai in the palace gate. And Mordecai did not rise or even stir on his account. And Haman was filled with rage. Nevertheless, Haman controlled himself until he died. He sent for his friends and his wife Zeresh. Oh yeah, she's not a good guy. Yeah. And Haman told them about his great wealth, his many sons, and all about how the king had promoted him and advanced him above all the officials in the king's courtiers. "What is more," said Haman, "Queen Esther gave a feast, and besides the king, she did not have anyone but me. And tomorrow too, only me, just me, is invited to eat with the king and the queen. But all this means
nothing to me every time I see that Jew Mordecai sitting in the palace gate. And then his wife Zeresh. And all his friends said, oh, honey, I know what will make you feel better. Let's put a gallows up in the yard, about 50 cubits high, and in the morning, let's go hang Mordecai. No. Then you can go happily with your cup of coffee with the kings of the feast. And that made Haman feel much better. And so Haman had the gallows built, so he could hang out with Mordecai. I know the rough. All right, chapter 6. Chapter 6, 24 morning.
Last night, there we go. Sleep deserted the king, and he ordered the book of records to be brought, and it was read to the king. And there it was found written that Mordecai had denounced Bigtan and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs who guarded the threshold, who had plotted to do away with King Ahasuerus. What honor or advancement had been conferred on Mordecai for this, the king inquired. Nothing at all had been done for him, replied the king's servants who were in attendance on him. Who was in the court, the king asked, for Haman had just entered the to speak to the king about having Mordecai hanged on the gallows he had prepared for him. It is standing in the court. The king's servant answered him. Let him enter, said the king. And guess who entered? And the king asked him, what can be done for a man whom the king desires to honor? And do you know who said something to himself? Yes. Whom would the king desire to honor more than me? So, I can't hear you. Yeah. Says the king. I lost my place. For the man whom the king desires honor, let royal garb which the king has worn to be brought, and on a horse on which the king had ridden, and whose head a royal diadem had been set, and let the attire on the horse be put in charge of one of the king's noble courtiers. And let the man whom the king desires to honor be attired and paraded on the horse through the city square, while they proclaim before him, this is what is done for the man whom the king desires to honor. Quick, said the king to grab the garb of the horses you have said, and do this to Mordecai the Jew, who sits in the king's gate. Omit nothing of all you have proposed. So Haman took the garb, and the horse parade Mordecai, and paraded him through the city square. And he proclaimed before him, this is what is done for the man whom the king desires to honor.
Chapter 7. So the king and Haman came to the feast with the queen. On the second day, the king again asked Esther, the wife, his darling sweetheart, what is your request? What is your wish, my queen? It shall be granted you. What is your request? Even to half the kingdom and more, it shall be fulfilled. Queen Esther replied, if your majesty will do me this one little favor, if it pleases your majesty, let my life be granted as my wish, and my people as my request. For we have been sold, my people and I, to be destroyed, massacred, and exterminated. Had we only been sold as bondsmen and women, I would have kept silent. For this adversary is not worthy of the king's trouble. Thereupon the king demanded of the queen, who is he and where is he who would dare to do such a thing? The adversary, the enemy, replied Esther, is this evil Haman! And Haman cringed in terror before the king and the queen. The king in his fury, with steam coming out of his ears, left the wine feast for the palace garden. He needed a timeout. While Haman remained to plead with Queen Esther for his life, for he saw that the king had resolved to destroy him. When the king returned from the palace garden to the banquet room, Haman was lying right next to the queen on the couch. Does he mean to ravish the queen of my words leave the king's lips, then Haman's face was covered. Then Harbona, one of the eunuchs in attendance on the king, said, "Hey, king, what is more? Guess what? There's a gallows standing at Haman's house, which Haman made for Mordecai. You know, the guy who saved your life." The king said, "Oh, yeah?" And Harbona said, "Yeah?" And the king said, "Oh, yeah?" And then he said, "Wait, you get the point." He said, "I got an idea. Let's hang Haman on it." And so they hang Haman on the gallows, which he had put up for Mordecai. And the king comes. Chapter 8. That very day, King Ahasuerus gave the property of his evil prime minister, that man we know so well. What was his name? Haman. The enemy of Jews between Esther and Mordecai presented himself to the king, for Esther had revealed how he was related to her. The king slipped off his ring, which he had taken back from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai, and Esther put Mordecai in charge of Haman's brother. Mordecai left the king's presence in royal robes of blue and white, with a magnificent crown of gold and a mantle of fine linen purple wool. And the city of Shushan rang with joyous cries. The Jews enjoyed light and gladness, happiness and honor. And in every province and in every city, when the king's command and decree arrived, there was gladness and joy among the Jews, a feast and a holiday. And so it was. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, the day that they had feared instead, they were able to rest. And on the 14th day, the Jews made it a day of feasting and merrymaking. And Mordecai recorded all of these events, and he sent dispatches to all the Jews throughout the provinces of King Ahasuerus, near and far, charging them to observe the 14th day of Adar every year, the same day on which the Jews enjoyed relief from their foes, and the same month which had been just transformed for them from one of grief and mourning to one of festive joy. They were to observe this day, today, as a day of feasting and merrymaking, as an occasion for sending gifts to one another and presents to the poor. For Haman, the son of Hamdan, the foe of all the Jews and the wearer of a triangular hat, Haman had plotted to destroy the Jews and cast lots on Purim with intent to crush and exterminate the Jews. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded, with promulgation of this decree, let the evil plot which Haman devised against the Jews recoil on his own head. And that's exactly what happened, and for that reason, today is called Purim. In view that, in view of all the instructions that Esther and Mordecai had given the people, to remember all that they had experienced and what had befallen them, the Jews undertook and irrevocably obligated themselves and their descendants and all who might join them to observe this day in the manner prescribed and at the proper time each year. That begins tonight. Consequently, these days are recalled and observed in every generation, by every family, every province, and every city. Cantor, come join me. And these days of Purim shall never cease among the Jews, and the memory of them shall never perish among their descendants. The last two lines are yours.
And Esther's ordinance validating these observances of Purim was recorded in this very scroll. That very scroll. And King Ahasuerus, along with Queen Esther and Mordecai, and all the people of Shushan, lived what?
Happily ever after. And that's the whole Megillah. If you'll please turn to page 9.
9, let's practice the chorus. Are you ready? It goes like this.
Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be, and not some almond touch. Oh, once there was a wicked, wicked man, and the Bible calls him Haman. He lied and lied about the Jews, whom he was always blaming. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be, and not some almond touch.
Verse 2.
Esther was the lovely queen of King Ahasuerus. When Haman said he kill us, oh my, how did he scare us? Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be, and not some almond touch.
Verse 3.
But Mordecai, her cousin, said, what a dreadful nature. Our Esther is a clever queen. Her people she will save, sir. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be, and not some almond touch.
Verse 4.
When Esther speaking to the king was said he, oh no, he won't. I'll spoil his bad intention. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be, and not some almond touch. The Bible tells how she destroyed all nations forever, and God preserved the Jews that day, as God has done forever. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be, and not some almond touch.
Page 7, please rise. Please be seated. We read responsibly, God be with all who are alone and lonely. Hear those who speak but are not heard. Take all who are afraid and give them hope. Take those who have been hurt and give them courage. Then shall your prophet's word come true. On that day, O God, you shall be one, and your name shall be one.
The name of the fire Adonai, the Melech of Goddess, Vayom Adu, Mi'eh Adonai Echad, Ushemo Echad.
Turn now to page 8. We gather together to celebrate our happy and festive holiday. We pause as we remember our loved ones who are no longer with us, as we remember those of our people who lost their lives on Kiddush Hashem because they were Jewish. We remember them now as we rise as one community to recite the words of Kaddish Yatom there on page 8. And I ask if anyone has a name they'd like to mention out loud. I invite you to do so right now.
Esther Wise, Alice
Zero. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be an everlasting
Yitzchazal, Yitzchadash, Me'erabah, Ve'amaz, Yifrach, Yikutzeh, Ve'amlich, Malchutzeh, V'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chayetechol, Beit Yisrael, V'agalav, Izman Karim, Imru, Amen. Yehesh, Me'erabah, Me'barach, Le'olam, L'amei, Al-Maya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitchabar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitzadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitallah, Shmei T'gudishah, B'richu, Le'elam Yikbol B'chatzah B'shiratah, Tush B'chatzah B'nechamata, Za'amiram B'yalma B'imru. Amen. Yehesh Shlomo Rabba Min Shemayim V'chayim, Aleinu B'al Kol Yisrael B'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromah, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu B'al Kol Yisrael B'imru. Amen.
We're going to end the way we began. We celebrate Purim. We are reminded that no matter how many Hamans have arisen in our history, we are still here. The people Israel lives as we join together. Am Yisrael Chag.